In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the simulation from inside of BobCAM for SolidWorks. So I'm going to use the mill part file that we created earlier, and I'm just going to launch the simulation. Now there's a few ways to get into the simulation. The first one is on this BobCAD tab right here. We have the simulation button, and right next to it is the exit simulation button. Another way to get into the simulation is by going right down to this quick access toolbar. Right here we have another button for simulation, and then finally we can right click on milling job here and go down to simulation. Now it's going to prepare the simulation, and that's basically bringing a copy of the solid model into the simulation. And I mentioned in an earlier video that I have the Machine Simulation Pro, so I actually have a solid model of my machine that I can see while I'm running my simulation. If you have the Machine Simulation Pro, to enable that, you're going to make sure that your setting right here on Machine is turned on. If you don't have this option, or you want to see just the part as it gets cut, the best thing to do is change it to Workpiece Stock so that it shows us the part inside the simulation. So first I'm going to orient it so I can see. So I can see this tool's facing this way. So I'm just going to try and rotate this right around the center here, and just keep bringing it around until I can get it in a view like that. From here, I can then hit fit to fit everything to the screen. So starting from the beginning, the material removal mode is going to show us the material coming off the part as we run it. If we turn on backplot mode, it shows us a copy of our solid model or our workpiece, and all we're going to see is how the tool moves around the part. So the way I want to see it is with the material removal mode. The next section right here, this NC mode, time mode, or length mode, is just how it shows these movements inside the job. So NC mode is going to be like how you read your NC code, how you can see it go from where it's positioned, so your starting position, and then the next line you read is the next point that needs to be output. So with this NC mode, the biggest problem is anytime it makes a straight line, it kind of just starts at the beginning and then it's at the end. You don't really see the tool moving. So the one I recommend using is length mode. Length mode is going to show you kind of a true view of how the tool is moving across the part all the time. And then again, we have our machine view, our workpiece stock, or our tool view. Now, workpiece stock locks the part in place, and we'll see the tool move around the part. Machine shows us the full machine if you have the Machine Simulation Pro. And tool locks the tool in position, and you'll see the part move around it. I like to use workpiece stock because then it's not as much moving around the screen. Right here, we then have all our playback options. So we have run, we have fast forward, we have step forward. We have an option that lets us fast forward to the next operation, or we can restart the entire job. If you ever want to watch something again, you have to restart it. Right here we have our simulation run speed, and this is what speed we watch the simulation at. It's not specifically how fast it's running. It has nothing to do with feeds and speeds. It's just like making it run faster. So you can turn it up if you want to go faster, bring it to the left to make it go slower. You'll notice that when I move this one here, you also have one up here. If you're limited on space inside your monitor here, you can actually minimize this ribbon and use just the quick access toolbar, which gives you just the standard playback options and then your speed control. I'm going to go ahead and bring that back. Right here's all our different views. So we have fit, isometric, top, front, right, bottom, back, and left. Right here we have our toolpath. Now, if this button is turned on, and if you have your toolpath rendering set to show all operations, it will actually show you all the operations of this toolpath. If you turn it off, it'll hide them. The problem is this turns on all the time when you don't want it to. So what I do is I turn it on, I go over to toolpath rendering, and I set it right here where it says all op. I say show me just the current operation. And then not only that, I change it to show just a segment of that operation. So it's going to show me just a segment of toolpath as it moves its way around. So it's not super distracting. Right here is whether or not the tool is showing. You could click on it and turn it transparent, or you can hide it completely. Right here, if I had a fixture set up over here under my machine setup, I'd be able to turn the fixture on and off. Right here, I get to see the workpiece that we set up when we were creating this job, which is the solid model that represents the final finished part. And if we turn this on and I hide my stock, we could see the part actually show up in here. So this is a really good way of getting a comparison between the workpiece or your final finished part and what you're actually cutting. And we'll see that here in a few minutes. So I'll hide that for now. And then right here's my machine housing. If I have the machine view, I can actually turn the housing on and off based on this. Again, toolpath rendering, the main thing I look at is the current op and the segment. Now, if I move this sidebar over and make it a bit bigger, let me fit my part to the screen, we'll see a move list first. Now, the move list tracks all the operations that we're using when we go and cut this part. So we can see what order we're going in, but not only that, we can actually fast forward through operations. So if I want to see what everything looks like up until this Z-level finish, I can click on Z-level finish. We're going to wait for the part to load. And the Z-level finish hasn't been run yet, but now I've run all the rest of them. So the drilled holes, the pockets, everything that we've done so far is here. And now I could say run and actually see the Z-level finish run. The analysis tab is the toolpath analysis. There's actually two analysis tabs. The toolpath analysis makes all the toolpaths have a specific color. So right now we're on our Z-level finish and you can't see much of it, but right here along the top edge of this part is a segment of that toolpath and it's orange. So it's just there to kind of differentiate between each toolpath with their colors. Next to that, we have our statistics tab, and really the statistics tab is here to show you feed rates as you're running. But if you scroll down, you can actually get an operation machining time for the job as well. Right here, we have our machine. This is just a basic machine build. It's really not something you need. It's not something you're going to be modifying at all. Right here's the simulation tab. This allows me to pause the simulation on any commands that happen. So if there's a collision or anything like that, we can do it. But we could also have it stop on any tool changes or any operation changes or at specific blocks or on bookmarks. So you can actually bookmark your move list and tell it to stop when it gets there. Right down here's our report tab. Now I don't have any reports showing up because I used the fast forward option. I skipped through a lot of the operations, so it doesn't run collision checking during that. But if I was to hit play and run, and if there was a collision with anything, if the tool hits the table, if the flutes hit the part, or the holder or the arbor hit the part, we're going to get notified about it and know where that thing is happening. We could go back, trace it to whichever toolpath is causing the problem, and then go and fix it. The Cut Sim tab is the overall quality that we see everything at, as well as our collision checking, so the flute, the shaft, the arbor, and the holder. Right here, we then have our analysis. Now, this is a part analysis, and currently mine's turned off. If I turn it to operation number, what it's going to do is it's going to color the part based on which tool touched that area while it was cutting. So if I was to say, I want to see what this facing tool did, I could actually double click on this, pick a different color and hit OK, and then refresh my view. So anything that's red was touched while we were doing the facing operation. And so it just helps you figure out what surfaces were cut. I like to turn that off to none, but you could also find deviations in here. You could see your orientation changes, your length of toolpaths, a lot of things you could do through here, but for the most part, I leave it off so that I get all one color on my part when I'm cutting it. Right here, we then have our measure tab. Now, the measure tab allows us to take measurements of distances or points, but primarily what I use it for is the remove chips option. Remove chips allows me to go in and click on the model and remove any parts of this model that are no longer connected. So if I've already cut a pocket in it, or maybe I just cut this whole pocket out with a profile, so there's a big chunk of material that would normally fall out, the remove chips allows me to make those actually fall out. And then the last one is just the axis control. It's how the tool can move. It's got all the limits set up for it and everything right there. The last thing on this main page is the progress bar. And the progress bar allows us to see where we start. And then every time we see one of these tiny little lines in here, that's changing to a different tool path. So we could see this green one right here was the longest. And then right here we could see the Z-level finish at the end. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we could just hit run. And we could actually follow along with that progress bar as it works its way down. So we'll speed this up, let it cut. Now, one thing to be aware of, the quality of while it's running is always going to be a little lower. Wait till the job finishes completely and then get an idea of how the part looks. If you're looking at it while it's running, it's going to look very jagged, going to look like it has a lot of gouges in it. Just be aware that when it finishes, it'll do kind of a cleanup on the entire part and fix everything. Now up here we have the verification tab. Right here's our apply refine and reset refine. So apply refine allows us to zoom in. If there's any questionable sections on your part where you're not sure if the finish came out as clean as you want, you can apply a refine to it and it'll actually clean up that area to give you a better view of that specific area without trying to clean up the entire part and taking a long time to load. If you do apply a refine to go back to the original, you'll just say reset refine. Now right here's the view tab. Now the view tab allows me to set up multiple windows, so I could set up more than one view and see how it's going to cut around the part. So I could say 4 windows and it's actually going to show me multiple views. And if I go in here and hit run, I can actually see all of these views cutting. I'm going to go ahead and just say maximize. Over here we have a capture graphics area, basically screenshot and start a video of the graphics area if we wanted to. And then right here we have all the tabs that are showing down here. So these are all the available tabs. And we can turn these on and off. So if I don't want to see the machine tab because I don't really need this one, I can just turn it off. And if I don't want to see, say, my axis control tab, I can just turn it off. Now, if you accidentally close something or you move something and you didn't mean to and you can't get it to go back to the right position, all the way on the right here we have a reset option. If we say reset, it brings back all of our functions, resets everything, and we're back to the factory defaults. After we're done watching our simulation, we could then exit out of it. The easiest way is by going up here and hitting exit simulation, or you have this X in the corner just above the simulation. Not all the way in the corner, but this one right here. We just click on that, and it'll close the simulation for us. And that concludes the video on the simulation from inside of BobCAM for SOLIDWORKS.